Good morning. So welcome everyone. Special welcome to all the young people that are here. This is a special event and we're very, very pleased that so many people are here. It was 24 years ago that the 9/11 tragedy happened. 14 years ago, this park was established. I'm going to call out just a little bit about this park. The centerpiece of the park is a beam from one of the Twin Towers that was brought back to Marshall under the leadership of now council member Craig Schaefer. And we wanted to do, the city and the leaders wanted to do something special, really which would be appropriate to commemorate that tragedy that happened in our country. So under the leadership of people like Mark Claith and Harry Weilige, they worked with a architect to design this beautiful park. So the park is really designed to have the centerpiece as the beam from the 9/11 event and one of the Twin Towers, but then everything around here really kind of draws your attention to that beam. The limestone that is in ascending order, the circular design here, the wall of arborvitae trees that surround here are all part of this design to really have something special here. So one other word to especially the young people that are here I know there's young people from the 6th grade, from the 3rd grade, from other grades that are here. After the program, feel free to walk around this area, to touch the beam, to maybe even ask some questions to some of the adults that are here that have been involved in the planning and establishment of this park, which has been here again 14 years, but really commemorates that awful event of 24 years ago. So with that, we're going to begin with this program. We'll have a brief program here. And then after the program, again, feel free to ask any questions. So as we start the program, please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. I'd now like to invite up Pastor Greg Pavek. He's a pastor with Living Word Church. Greg?
Thanks, Mayor. Well, I was in the 4th grade when the 9/11 attacks took place. And we didn't have a television in our classroom, so we had my teacher, Mrs. Fry, held up a radio, and we listened to the news reports in our classroom on September 11, 2001 on the radio. And I remember feeling a lot of emotions. There was a lot of confusion. There was a lot of fear. In fact, we had some of those emotions even yesterday. But even from 1,000 miles away, I can't imagine the fear and the confusion that were on the site. I was feeling it from that distance, but on the site that day, there was fear and confusion, yet there were men and women running into that fear and confusion, sacrificing their comfort, sacrificing their very lives. It was a tragic day, and on that day, we saw an incredible display of evil and sin, but also saw an incredible display of humans laying themselves down for one another. It brought a mix of emotions, and it's a day that even now, this many years later, it can bring a sense of patriotism alongside a different type of fear and confusion as we think about those events, because we still live in a broken world. Tragedies, hardships, they still abound. And when I think about those brave men and women who lost their lives that day, I can't help but draw parallels to the gospel. Like those brave men and women who ran into the chaos of that day, Jesus runs into the chaos of our world too. In fact, he runs into the chaos of our lives to sacrifice himself on his own rescue mission to bring hope in the midst of that confusion, peace in the midst of fear, forgiveness in the midst of wrongs, and even life in the midst of death. And so he uses our presence as well as a community to bring those things to one another. So thank you for being here today. And to start this off, I'd like to just go to the Lord in prayer together. Dear Jesus, we give thanks today for all those who ran towards the chaos and the confusion all those years ago. We give thanks for all those that do that same work in our own community here every single day. We give thanks to you. For you, Lord, are a God that runs into the chaos and the confusion of our lives. There's so much brokenness in this world, Father. And that brokenness and sin left so many hurt and grieving 24 years ago, and that hurt and grief never truly leave. So we ask that you would draw near to those that are hurting on this day, that every year this day brings a deep sense of loss and grief, of losing loved ones. We remember them, we remember the heroes, and remember also your sacrifice too. Thank you for this nation, and bless us as we walk through so much brokenness, but yet use us within it to enter into each other's lives with love, hope, peace. Bless this time here today, Heavenly Father. Amen.
Thank you, Pastor Greg. We will now have the singing of the God Bless America by Ellie Sprick. Following that, we'll have the placement of the American Spirit Wreath that'll be placed by our Fire Chief Quentin Brunsvold and our Director of Public Safety Police Chief Jim Marshall. Ellie?
Will you all join me in singing God Bless America? God bless America, land that I love. Stand beside her and guide her through the night with a light from above. From the mountains to the prairies, to the oceans white with foam. God bless America, my home sweet home. God bless America, my home sweet home.
Thank you, Ellie. Thank you, Chief Marshall and Chief Brunsvold. Our speaker today is Senator Jeff Howe. Senator Jeff Howe was first elected to the Minnesota Senate in 2018. He also served 3 terms in the House of Representatives, also served on the Rockville City Council, and that's where he lives in Rockville. He's had a military career in the United States Navy as an avionics technician on board the USS Kitty Hawk. He was deployed to Iran during the Iranian hostage crisis and served 2 decorated tours in Iraq. In 2017, after 38 years of service, he retired from the Minnesota Army National Guard. In addition to his military service, he has 27 years of fire service, serving on 3 different departments in various positions as a firefighter, fire marshal, fire emergency management coordinator, and fire chief before he retired in 2011. He is the author of the Hometown Heroes Act, which is, and probably he'll talk more about that, that's the most comprehensive firefighter well-being initiative in the nation. So we're very honored to have Senator Howe join us today.
Wow, what a great day. Thank you all for being here. Today is a humble day for me, and especially after what happened yesterday. It brings more light to what we should be not only celebrating on this great country, but what we should take and really take home, and how our society needs to heal. I got this big speech written. I don't know. I tell you what. I'm going to tell you this is very emotional for me. So if you see me pause because I got to get my voice back, or you see a tear running about my eye, I have gone to the VA. I've asked them for help. They say, no, it's good to cry. I said, no, I used to be in charge of everything. You don't understand. I used to be the guy that everybody looked to, and now I can't control my own emotions. They said, oh, no, that's good. I argue with them, so if I get a little bit emotional during this thing, just bear with me. Let me do a little bit of pause, and I'll keep on going. You know, today, 9/11 is Patriots Day. Everyone that lives here in America should be a patriot. Every one of us should stand up and defend this country. Now, I've given a great honor to be able to wear this uniform, and I thank you for the privilege to wear it again today, because I stopped wearing it 8 years ago. And thank God it still fits, but I paid a lot of, officers have to buy their own uniforms, so I paid a lot of money for this, so it's great to get a little bit of a return on the investment. But everyone, this is one of those events in a lot of our lifetimes where everyone knows exactly what they were doing and where they were when 9/11 happened. I was actually driving on Highway 23 on my way to work. In fact, I can tell you I was just past County Road 6, almost to I-94, when I heard, as I was listening to Hot Talk with the Ox on the radio, that a plane went into the World Trade Center. And my brother and I had both worked at the same time at one time at the St. Cloud Fire Department. And I called him and said, hey, turn your TV on. A plane just went into World Trade. Because we knew that the firefighters are going to respond to that. And when you got a building as tall as the World Trade, that brings a lot of difficult things to work on to try and fight a fire at the World Trade Center. So I end up getting to work, and they, of course, in the City Hall have the TV station playing the cable news deal, all the announcements and stuff. And I said, hey, does that TV actually, I'd only been there 6 months. I had left the St. Cloud Fire Department 6 months prior and went to the Waite Park and became the building official fire marshal there. And so I was still kind of settling in. I said, does that TV play regular TV? And they said, sure. I said, put on the news, put on a news channel, because a plane went into the World Trade Center. So we just got that on, and we were watching the tower burn when we watched at 8:03 the second plane go in. At that moment, I knew our nation was under attack. Now, I will tell you that I didn't know then, I didn't know then how much this was going to affect my life, because a few years later, I was placed on active duty for the National Guard to backfill some of our soldiers from the 34th Infantry Division that was going to Bosnia. They were backfilling active duty units that used to go to Bosnia. Now our National Guard was going to Bosnia. A little bit later that year, we sent troops to National Guard soldiers to Kosovo to backfill active duty soldiers. Little did I know that yeah, I didn't go to either one of those deployments because I really had no interest in going over there, and I had my time in. I said, I'm not going to go into the peacekeeping thing. If I'm going to go, I'm going to go to war. Well, those were fateful words, because what happened to me is shortly thereafter, I was taking 250 troops to Iraq. And I had a few reservations about my young soldiers. I had 250 because I was a little bit concerned that they weren't going to be able to rise to the occasion. But I will tell you that when we actually went to war and actually went into theater, I couldn't be more honored to have served with a bunch of young men and women that did outstanding work and surprised me. And I have the same belief that the young men and women standing here today will rise to that occasion again. And I truly believe, and I think I'm going to try to get back on some type of a script. I truly believe that, especially after seeing what happened yesterday, that our lives did change 24 years ago. I think that many of us remember taking our loved ones to the airport, being able to walk them right to the plane. I remember being able to walk my sons to the airport as they were going to go to basic training. I remember being able to walk up and greet my mom coming back and take her right from the gate. That doesn't happen anymore since 9/11. You can't do that any longer. I don't know if you remember, but after 9/11, those of us who were alive, you remember how the nation came together? Remember how we were all one. We all came to grips. We all were ready to do what was right for our nation. Where did that go? What happened? Are we all listening to WIFM? What's in it for me? Do we forget the words of John F. Kennedy that said, don't ask what we can do for you, ask what you can do for your country? Where did that go? Where is that? I truly believe that we need to start listening to, and I'm trying to, WCIH. Maybe that should be our radio station we tune into. Where can I help? Maybe we should take a little bit of look at these folks that are walking around that look a little odd. Maybe we should talk to them. Maybe just asking how you can help them will make a difference to stop the chaos like what happened yesterday. We have to start looking at one another and being kind and trying to help one another so we can prevent things like what happened 24 years ago, what happened yesterday. And so I got a little quote here from President Reagan. Perhaps you and I have lived too long with this miracle to be properly appreciative. Freedom is a fragile thing and is never more than one generation away from extinction. It's not ours by way of inheritance. It must be fought for and defended constantly by each generation. For it comes only once to a people, and those in world history who have known freedom and then lost it have never known it again. Please keep our deployed soldiers and their families in your prayers. Please keep our first responders in your prayers. Check on our folks, those that have Gold Star families, those that have got their loved ones deployed. See how they're doing. see if they need anything. You know, thank you for giving me the honor of sharing my thoughts here on Patriots Day. Keep Charlie Kirk and his family in your prayers, and may God bless these United States of America. Thank you.
So once again, thank you, Senator Howe, for those words. Thank you, everyone, for being here. Let me just conclude by saying a couple of things. There is a placard right in front of you, right on that side, that has an explanation of some of the symbolism that is here. If you want more information about this park, that's a good place to read about it. But let me just conclude by saying that this is a park that commemorates that event on September 11th, 2001. It commemorates that so we remember what happened, and also this park gives us hope for the future. So with that, thank you, everyone. Enjoy the rest of the day.